in the enemy's homeland, and he still won. He succeeded in this thanks to his different approach to battle. In 216 BC, at the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal triumphed over the numerically superior Romans thanks to his revolutionary manipulation of the forces at his disposal. This new approach to battle earned him the title Father of Strategy by one of his biographers, Theodore Aralt Dodge, himself a courageous veteran of the American Civil War. At the time, the standard tactics dictated that formations of soldiers would line up abreast of each other in a phalanx, march forward, collide, and do battle with much pushing and shoving. It was thought that numerical superiority was the key to victory. Hannibal was outnumbered badly, so he should have lost. But, armed with fewer resources than his Roman enemies, Hannibal configured his forces differently. He didn't follow best practices of his day and line his soldiers up in the usual way. Instead, he maneuvered and outmaneuvered and outsmarted his Roman enemy with a battle plan that turned the Romans' own tactics and tendencies against them. It was Hannibal's bold way of thinking that yielded his success in battle, not the following of a checklist of the contemporary strategy. Hannibal's forces were outnumbered. Estimates vary, maybe 80,000 Romans versus 30,000 infantry and 10,000 cavalry. In the conventional military thinking of the day, this meant a Roman victory should be inevitable, especially as we note that Hannibal's forces were a motley collection of mercenaries from Africa, Spain, and Gaul, and they were more poorly armed than their Roman counterparts. But the Carthaginians had the advantage of superior strategy and tactics under superior generalship. Here are the ways that Hannibal upended the conventional thinking of his time. Opposing Hannibal was the Roman army under two consuls, Paulus and Varro, and they rotated command of the army each day. Paulus was cautious, and Varro was impetuous. This Jekyll and Hyde leadership arrangement meant discontinuity in execution. In fact, Hannibal knew the hot-headed Varro was commanding on the day of the battle, and he counted on Varro's fervor to lead the Roman army to its destruction in a series of blunders. First, the Romans marched forward in a narrow and deep phalanx that matched the front of Hannibal's smaller force. The Romans could have easily extended their front to either side of the Carthaginians. That maneuver alone might have saved them from eventual destruction, but they did not. The Romans presented a narrow front, and this alone greatly negated the Roman numerical advantage. Of what use are superior numbers if the vast majority of them cannot reach the enemy? Second, Roman training dictated that they pursue a fleeing opponent. So when the Gauls and the Spaniards to their front appeared to break and withdraw, the Romans pressed forward. This left the African infantry to the Roman flanks, where they were most vulnerable. Third, the Romans were taken unawares at a change in cavalry tactics. Once Hannibal's cavalry had driven off the Roman cavalry, his horsemen did not pursue the Romans, as was customary. Instead, the horsemen fell upon the rear of the masses of Roman infantry, which became more tightly packed by the minute. The envelopment of the Romans was complete, their destruction inevitable. Hannibal achieved the greatest and most complete victory in the history of warfare by utilizing not superior numbers and strength, but by superior strategy and extraordinary tactical execution to envelop a superior foe and completely destroy it. 50,000 Roman soldiers died that day, not from lack of equipment, not from lack of numbers, not from lack of courage. They perished because of superior strategy and flawless execution. And that is Hannibal's lesson for us. When faced with superior competitors, you can use your knowledge of their habits and their weaknesses to outsmart them. Pause now. Survey your own competitors. Which ones have quirks or weaknesses that you know about? How can you invert commonplace thinking and outmaneuver them when they're falsely feeling most confident?